Okay, so first of all, it's definitely overdiagnosed. Second, it's a very unreliable psychiatric diagnosis. Many psychiatric diagnoses are unreliable, and that's because psychiatric diagnoses aren't precisely scientific categories. They're weird hybrids, right? First of all, psychiatrists aren't scientists, they're engineers. Engineers are trying to do something rather than to describe the objective world, and psychiatrists are trying to make people healthy, whatever that means. It's actually partly ethical. It's very complicated. We don't know how to distinguish it from temperamental variation. So for example, if you're high in openness and high in extroversion and low in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, conscientiousness, and high in neuroticism, you're likely to manifest symptoms of ADHD. It's because you're exploratory, you don't like to sit down, you're full of ideas, your attention scatters across a wide variety of topics, and you're not very stable. Temperamental variation is also much more common among boys. Panksepp showed, same guy with rats, that if you deprive young rats of rough and tumble play, which is what the young boys are deprived of in school, let's say, that they get hyperactive, and then their prefrontal cortexes don't develop very well because they're not having the right kind of experiences, and that you can treat that quite effectively with psychomotor stimulants like Ritalin. So that's kind of an interesting bit of scientific information that no one pays any attention to. There is also absolutely no evidence whatsoever that long-term use of psychomotor stimulants produces increases in cognitive gain. Zero. And there's plenty of evidence that it's harmful. So then the second part of that was, what about adjustments for, in the academic world, say, that would be disability adjustments. It's like, that's such a rat's nest that I don't want to even discuss it. I mean, I'll discuss it for like 15 seconds. There is a never-ending multiplication of disabilities. That's what's happening right now. The disability offices in the universities are swamped. Like, I know some people have it rough, like, believe me, I know that. I seriously know that. I've dealt with extraordinarily damaged people in my life. You're bloody hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't have a serious problem, or who doesn't have a serious problem in a close family member. It's like, where do you draw the line with regards to disabilities? Well, you can't. You can't. They multiply. Just like LGBT identities multiply. Just no, really, technically just like that. Just like intersectionality, categories of oppression multiply. It's inevitable. The way that you deal with it is you have objective standards. You apply them to everyone. Not because that's fair. It's not fair if your criteria for fairness is that everyone has the same outcome. It's not fair at all. It's not even close to fair. It's just less tyrannical than the alternatives. Now, we don't know that yet because we haven't seen the full range of the tyranny of the alternatives manifest itself, not in our culture, but it certainly did in other cultures. I think it's a bad idea. Now, I don't want to be absolute about that. Like, it's tricky, you know, because if you have a disability that would allow you to do the work in the university and in the workplace with a modification, then perhaps the modification could be made. But I think that was done a lot better when that was in the hands of the professors and not in the hands of these crazy bureaucratic structures that have risen up around the disability issue. Like, they're one of the 10 things that are going to kill the universities, or maybe have already killed them, possibly. Because they're walking corpses as far as I can tell. Zombies, so, and that might be wrong, but it's what it looks like to me.